Who gonna be the boys, but y'all didn't let the boys be kids when they were actually kids.
This would be a perfect example of who gonna be the boys being weaponized in a way that is very homophobic.
And when it comes to a man, don't come around me with no nose ring, no hoop earring, none of that little dangly cross earring, none of that tongue ring, and definitely don't come around me with no pocketbook. What am I gonna do with you? Is I'm the girl or is you gonna be the boy?
When the women talk, say who gonna be the boys, what women are combating is this type of behavior.
A top shelf man is infinitely more valuable than a top shelf woman.
Since there's less of us and more of y'all gonna start approaching us. We want women to court us just like we court them.
The mother lover tells me, oh, well, you should have reached out to me. I'm so sorry. Did I ask you on a date? Did I ask you for your number? Did I text you first? The answer to all of those questions is no. So why on earth would I need to touch base with you? A man. Like, who gonna be the boys?
Who gonna be the boys? Who gonna be the boys? I think that phrase is hilarious. I truly do. I'm tickled 99% of the time when I hear it. even probably in times when I shouldn't find it to be funny. I think it's hilarious. But I do want to have a more comprehensive, in-depth conversation around that topic, because men are trying to use, one thing that annoys me, right, is when men are trying to criticize women, when men are trying to critique women or call out women, if you want to call out a woman specifically, fine. Put a name on it, share the video, you know what I'm saying? Do the thing. I'm okay with that. But men trying to educate women on some shut the fuck up. They don't they don't need that. I don't like that. I think it to me, it always goes into some form of manipulation. I don't know. It's just weird. Just don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Again, as a black man, I would think it was odd if a white person got online and was like, black people, colorism. I mean, you saying that you would only date a red bone is yeah, that's wrong. I know that's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I get that, but I don't. That's for us to talk about. That is not for white people to talk about. That is not that. Those are supposed to be internal conversations that women are having with each other. If women feel some type of way about something, let women call women out on that type of stuff. If you want to call a woman out for doing a thing, do that. I'm okay with that. I can respect that. And maybe you could even make it a broader issue. Fine. You know what I'm saying? Pull it back and talk about the whole, that's fine too. But I hate when men get on here and they want to do these think pieces on ladies, you guys are feeding into the patriarchy. And they're shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Stop trying to mansplain that shit. But I definitely want to talk about this because, like I said, I think it's a conversation that needs to be had. And I don't really hear people. To me, people are missing the whole context behind the phrase, who gonna be the boys?
Who gonna be the boys, but y'all didn't let the boys be kids when they were actually kids. I get so irritated when I see things about who gonna be the boys.
Who is y'all? Out of curiosity, who we talking about?
Because one, it's homophobia. We can call it what it is. It's homophobia dressed up as something else. It's a euphemism. And we're not really addressing that a lot of the things that cause y'all to say who gonna be the boys comes from men actually being free to express themselves in whatever way they choose. I see it a lot when men are dancing. I see it a lot when men are laughing. I see it a lot when men doing skincare stuff and generally taking care of themselves. Y'all talk about who gonna be the boys. How is that indicative of their sexual orientation in any way, shape, or form? Let's take it a step further. When they were boys, when they were kids, a lot of our black boys were taught these very, very deeply rooted narratives around.
I can't stand when y'all seamlessly start making this a race issue as if white boys aren't. Bro, this is a function of the patriarchy. You were on it at first, but now we're losing the plot already. But I'm listening. Let's keep going.
around masculinity and what it means to be a man. And what we've been conditioned to think in that regard and believe in that regard and act in that regard does not allow for men to express themselves. It doesn't allow for men to be able to accurately, that's the important word, accurately identify their emotions and then express them and communicate them. So when we see men now acting in aggressive ways or acting out of anger or whatever, it's their default setting because society, both externally and internally within our own communities, have continuously told them that if you show any of your emotions, if you are in tune or aware of any of your emotions outside of anger and aggression, then you're weak.
That is, just so we're clear, that's not the women saying that. Our mamas aren't the ones telling us that the vast majority of the time. Not to say mothers are perfect, right? Because I got a video of a mother, like, she called her baby beautiful. It's a baby, like I'm talking about an infant. The baby was laying on their backs, on their back, and the mom is like gooing and oohing and you're so cute. And she said that she called the baby beautiful, and then the baby's face changed. You know how babies be making random faces. The baby face changed. First it was smiling, and then like got serious. And then she said, "Oh, handsome. I mean handsome." Then the baby started smiling again because it was a boy. And I'm like, yeah, that's that. I know it was just a joke from her, but I'm saying I get that. Like I get that women do contribute. Often women do contribute to the mismanaging of men's emotions and the idea pushing the narrative that if a man or a boy shows their emotions that they're weak. And yes, women contribute to that as well. Yep. Most women would definitely agree that women also play a role in that oftentimes, right? But overwhelmingly, the group of people that ask you and create the space for you to be the most humanized version of yourself are women. So a man belonging to the group that created this oppressive system, that he himself probably has participated in it, trying to talk to the group of people that are the ones that basically are the reason why we have any humanity in us anyway at this point, is wild. It's wild. That's why I'm saying just leave these conversations alone. Leave them to women. Let women take care of this internally. And also talk to men, because if men stop doing, like, women wouldn't be homophobic if men stopped being homophobic. Women wouldn't be homophobic if men stopped being homophobic. Period, point blank.
Then you're not a man. Then you're queer, you're gay, you're all these things. And I just have to ask, how has that done for us? How has that served our community? It hasn't. I know the answer to the question. Boy, it's hot as hell out here. I know the answer to the question, but it hasn't. Yet we keep pushing these narratives and writing them off as jokes, talking about who's gonna be the boys, who's gonna be the boys. Damn. I guess nobody. It's like, I remember when I was very young, I was maybe like 6 or 7. My granddad was still in the Air Force. He hadn't retired yet. And he was on his way to a deployment somewhere, I think South Korea, somewhere to his last deployment. And I remember him coming over to our house, because he don't live there. I remember him coming over to our house before he left and sitting me down and having a conversation. He was like, all right, I'm gonna be overseas now. You got to be the man of the house and take care of your grandma and your sister. Respectfully, what the fuck am I gonna do at 6 years old? If somebody comes into this house, what am I gonna do at 6 years old?
See? We're talking about the men. Yeah, you're right. That's what men do. Men push that bullshit. Men think that, like, that a man could, like, that's like some medieval type of shit. The women who are fully capable of protecting and defending them, not only themselves, but the children in the home, because they are women, they are in the minds of these men, and these very patriarchal, misogynistic men. They think that a 6 or 7-year-old boy is actually better suited simply because they have a penis. Like, that shit is wild. This is not who gonna be the boys is a phrase coined by women. So when you talk about they are using that, men aren't using who gonna be the boys. That's not for us. We didn't make that, right? That's not our thing.
Oh, and I took his words too hard. I took it to heart. I thought I ran shit up in there. I thought I honestly, I still think I run shit. But my point is,
oh, so you're proving that you haven't unpacked your misogyny while you're wagging your finger at everybody else? Cool.
why are you placing that on a 6-year-old boy rather than allowing him to be a kid, rather than allowing him to cry, rather than allowing him to express joy, dance, do whatever? Gosh, it is exhausting. It is exhausting to feel like you have to show up in these prescribed, because they're predetermined, prescribed ways of being. And it only hurts all of us in the long run. It only hurts all of us in the long run. That's why we're still struggling with domestic abuse, domestic violence, and sexual assault in our communities, because we teach men at a very young age, you can only act in aggression. You can only act, that's the only emotion that you can express.
We also teach little boys that women's bodies belong to us. We teach men to objectify women as well. Like that's a huge thing. And men use violence to control women.
Who are gonna be the boys? Who are gonna be the adults? Who are gonna be the adults that actually work to shift some of this stuff? Because our young boys are suffering because we expect them to be men. Then they grow up and are now grown ass boys, adult boys, masking as men. Let's just, I'm actually not done. Never mind the fact that a lot of people also nowadays get so uptight about, oh, they in the closet, they DL, they down, all this, and that, third. Well, if we actually allowed our young boys to express themselves without fear of judgment or persecution, then maybe, just maybe, men would feel more free to live in their truth.
That's true, but being DL and deceiving people, and then a lot of those DL men be abusive because they can't get found out and they be killing people and stuff because of that. That's not, yeah, we need to address it societally, but also individually, they are to blame for their individual actions.
And there wouldn't be so many just maybe. The other thing that I would be remiss to say, because right now I'm speaking a lot to the adultification of young black boys. I would be remiss if I didn't say that young black girls are adultified even more. They are. That is not me highlighting this, does not dilute or take away from that.
This is, again, I just want to be clear too. I agree with like 80% of what he's saying, but I think he was kind of mixing up the two concepts, right? Or not the two concepts, but it was a little convoluted, because who gonna be the boys again is specifically for women to call out men in our behavior in certain instances. It was made by women to call out men's behaviors, right? And then he started talking about how men adultify little boys, which we do. And that part I agreed with. That's what I was saying. I'm like, yeah, I agree with that 100%. But the who gonna be the boys comes from women, right? Who gonna be the boys comes from women. The men who tell little boys that they have to operate in this way or that way, in this way, and not and be masculine. Those are two different groups of people. Those are two different groups of people. One does and can affect the other, but there are two different groups of people. Because when women say who gonna be the boys, the vast majority of the time, they're not using it in a homophobic way. But I do want to highlight the way that he is talking about before we get deeper into it. This would be a perfect example of who gonna be the boys being weaponized in a way that is very homophobic.
And when it comes to a man, don't come around me with no nose ring, no hoop earring, none of that little dangly cross earring, none of that tongue ring, and definitely don't come around me with no pocketbook. What am I gonna do with you? Is I'm the girl or is you gonna be the boy? Which one?
That right there is homophobic, right? We all can agree that's homophobic. Why are you? Who cares? Who cares if he got a tongue ring? Who cares if he got it? Like, if that isn't your preference or if you don't like that on a man, that's fine. That's fine. For your whatever reasons they are, that's fine. But you get when somebody gets on the internet and says stuff like that, that is harmful. Definitely. You can call that out, right? But that is not the main, like, when women talk, like, say, like, who gonna be the boys? What women are combating is this type of behavior. It is this competition that men think they're in with women.
A top shelf man is infinitely more valuable than a top shelf woman. Diamonds might be expensive, but their price point is still low enough for some men to afford. Like, think about that. No diamond in the world costs more than someone can afford. That's not how marketplaces operate. Irrespective of how costly that diamond is, the man who buys it already commands more value than the value he procures, which of course is what allowed him to buy the diamond in the first place. Furthermore, top shelf men needn't limit themselves to a single jewel.
This is who gonna be the boys is specifically for the again, some women take it and they use it in a homophobic way. They use it to critique men who are doing just like innocuous, arbitrary things like painting their fingernails, wearing pink, whatever. I don't know, doing the duck faces and pink. Whatever those men are doing, if you want to you want to get a laugh at that shit. So that's whatever. That's your prerogative. That's my prerogative. But as soon as we start to like, especially like expressively, outwardly criticize men for doing that, that is when it is a problem, right? But criticizing this belief, do you see how toxic this is? Do you see why saying who gonna be the boys to the groups of men that are out here teaching teaching young men and little boys that they are the prize, they're worth more than women, and so on and so forth, and comparing women to diamonds and making a relationship seem completely transactional? That is destructive. That is what the women are combating. The majority of the time when I've heard women talk about who's going to be the boys, it is to address men being in competition with women and saying things that are corrosive to the very fabric that connects men and women.
Many can easily afford several diamonds, which makes the comparison even more obvious. Listen to me. If a top shelf woman is a diamond, a top shelf man is a diamond mine. Why? Because men are disproportionately the producers of value. On a global level, men, through their labor and effort and ingenuity, produce far more than their fair share of global GDP. And when you rise up the scale and examine the demographic characteristics of millionaires and billionaires, this observation becomes even more true. Like, all the 20 richest men in the world built something. On the other hand, all the 20 richest women in the world received their wealth through divorce or inheritance.
That is just such a goofy ass take, because women do the vast majority of unpaid labor in the world. They are worth their weight in diamonds and gold, as far as that's concerned. What men have done is they're not the ones who create the most value. What they do is they set the parameters of what value is. They tell you this is valuable, this isn't. They say that the jobs that men do, those are the jobs that really keep the world going. The jobs that women do, anybody can do those. It doesn't materially, that it's not true, right? That's not, we know that. We know that if women stop doing what women are doing, the economy and the whole world would collapse, and and men and children would start to die because women are the ones that are taking care of us. We know that. Men aren't taking care of anybody. Men barely take care of themselves, right? We know that. That is a complete fucking lie, and that is what women are combating.
Since there's less of us and more of y'all gonna start approaching us. We want women to court us just like we court them. That's
You want a woman to court you.
Absolutely. It's not a one-way street.
If you get the woman of your dreams, she's a perfect 10. Whatever your idea of a perfect 10 is in your eyes, you would want her to court you.
Yeah. Women have started to complain about chain restaurants. That messed the whole game up. It made it hard for a lot of y'all. There's Chili's, Cheesecake Factory. Since there's less of us, we're the prize now. Since there's less of us and more of y'all gonna start approaching us.
There are more men in the world globally. There are slightly more women in America than men, but it's not that much more. I don't not that many. This is fucking stupid.
Because, yeah.
Wow. So why not date the girls who are at Chili's, who are at Cheesecake Factory, who are at Red Lobsters? Why not date those girls who are at the bar?
Well, I don't meet women at a restaurant. I'm just saying, that's no good. So,
I think what it is.
He didn't have nothing for that. But that is what women also are pushing back against, this narrative that men need to be courted and all of this stuff. And the reason why that can't be true is because we still are in the patriarchy. Men want to bypass dismantling the patriarchy and getting to the end when we both, like, now we're both free and there's equity and da 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 da. And they're like, yeah, at that point in time, yes, gender roles should go out the window. Yep, gender is going to go out the window. Once we dismantle the patriarchy, gender will no longer exist. That's going to be a part of dismantling the patriarchy. Men want to fast forward to that day and age, essentially, and be like, yo, why don't y'all do this? And why don't y'all do that for me? And because we still live in the patriarchy, sir. Who gonna be the boys? What do you mean you want me to court you? I'm a woman. Why do you want me to court? That's crazy. We live in a patriarchy. You still have to prove to me you are worth me giving you access to me, because I am less safe around you than you are around me. You have to prove yourself. That is what women are combating. Women are not, again, who gonna be the boys is not rooted in homophobia. Though some people take it and they bastardize it and they fuck it up and dirty it and sully the phrase, and they use it to be homophobic. Absolutely. There are those that do that. Definitely there are those that do that. But generally speaking, women are talking about these types of behaviors when men are in competition with women.
My rule is if a man sets up a date and then the day of the date I don't hear from them, I'm not going. So literally happened today. I was supposed to go somewhere like around 6 or whatever. Whole day have not heard from said person. So at first I was just gonna not show up, not say anything, just leave it at that. But I was like, I can give a little cute, classy response. So I hit the person up and I was like, hey, haven't heard from you all day, so I'm going to assume that we're not going. Have a great evening. He hits me back and is like, oh no, we're still on. Oh no, we're not, actually. So I tell him like, hey, well, when I didn't hear from you all day, I actually made other plans, so we're not on for today. But, maybe another time, which was a lie because I don't even play like that. I run a very tight ship. So his response was, oh, well, you said you were really busy today, so I was giving you your space. And I'm like, I hear you. However, it's common courtesy to touch base the day of a date. Like, is that just, am I crazy? I know I'm not. Here's the kicker. The mother lover tells me, oh, well, you should have reached out to me. I'm so sorry. Did I ask you on a date? Did I ask you for your number? Did I text you first? The answer to all of those questions is no. So why on earth would I need to touch base with you, a man? Like, who gonna be the boys? The smallest things that I think is just common sense, common courtesy, And it's just a lost art. Like, ugh.
Now, maybe y'all could point me in the direction of the homophobia in that video, but that wasn't homophobic. Again, if you listen to the story, she's just like, you're the man. She's talking about gender roles. And gender roles, the thing about even if for a feminist, for a woman, I don't give a fuck. Gender roles are here. Gender roles are here because gender is a thing. As long as gender is a thing, gender roles will be a thing. You have to dismantle gender to get rid of gender roles. I don't mind any woman having an expectation of a man simply because he's a man. It just depends on the expectation. 99% of them, I have no problem. I don't care. I don't care if women expect men to pay all the bills. None of that feeds into the patriarchy. The patriarchy exists. It's still here. Like, what the fuck? It's here. Women materially are negatively impacted by the patriarchy. So if they take certain precautions to protect themselves against the patriarchy, I'm not going to be the one to be like, oh, here you go. Why can't you pursue me? Why can't you reach out to me? No, what the fuck? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. When women who expect men to ask them out on dates, women who expect men to propose to them, women who expect men to ask them to be their boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. All of those things I completely understand. If you don't believe in that as a woman, that's your prerogative. I don't care one way or the other, but I'm definitely not going to sit here and judge the women that do ascribe to those gender roles and those expectations because men created them and a good amount of them protect women against some stuff as much as they can. A man that is low effort, a man that's like, not consistent and all of these things, these are the red flags that men love to scream to women about. Like, men love to be like, y'all wasn't looking out for the red flags, and then get mad when women are like, you're not being intentional, you're not being consistent, you know what I'm saying? You're not pursuing me. Like, these are all red flags to women. So if they call us out and they go, who gonna be the boys? Because again, you are acting as if the paradigm is shifted and we live in a post-misogynistic society where now women are, it's upside down world where women have to pursue men and yada, yada, yada. I don't give a fuck if she be like, who gonna be the boys? I totally understand that. I totally get it. Men, stop trying to take stuff that women say and do and run and act like it's the worst thing on the planet and it's fucking up it's not. It's not. Y'all be wanting women to be perfect so bad. Like, women, even when a woman or if a woman is homophobic or has internalized misogyny, that is not for us. That is not for men to try to call women out on as a group. It's not. It's not. Keep calling out men. Keep calling out men or start calling out men. Because that's the only way that this is actually going to end when we dismantle the patriarchy. And we need some men to get on board to do that. Even if every woman stopped being homophobic, homophobia will still be rampant. That's the point.